That's another thing. Like a lot of business owners, they don't know the numbers. That's what's surprising
Yeah.
to me. Like they don't know how much does it cost them to acquire a client. Because the moment you know that number, you can spend as much as you want to acquire a client.
Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.
And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Alex Thoric with us today, and I'm really going to enjoy this conversation. I had the pleasure of being on his podcast, and it was so good I wanted him to be on mine so I could share him with my audience as well. So let's get into it. So Alex, as I always say, no one knows Alex better than Alex. Give us a little backstory, bring us up to speed, tell us what you're doing now, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for having me on. I really enjoyed our conversation on the previous one when we had a conversation previously. Had a lot of fun there. So a little bit about myself. How long of a backstory do you want?
Give us a minute or two.
Okay, sounds good. So I was born and raised in Eastern Europe, moved to Canada when I was 19, went to college, started learning about marketing and business. Well, went to college for business administration, and then started buying courses online on everything that's related to marketing, digital marketing, emails, funnels, ads, content, everything that you can think of. My friends and I, we decided to start a marketing agency. We were a part of a network marketing company. We were in the same team, and then we decided to start a marketing agency, helping local business owners with their marketing. And people would tell us friendship and business is not the same thing, and we were thinking, well, we'll figure it out. So we didn't. Then I started another agency from the beginning, basically. And then the other guy left. So my best friend, who used to be my business partner, he's still my business partner these days. He was left alone as well. So we would just exchange customers. Let's say if I didn't necessarily want to work with the specific industry, he was the one who was specialized in that industry. So we would just like share different marketing insights, ideas, topics. So it was more of we would still be partners, but not in the same business in a way. And then we decided to come together and create a marketing consultancy where now we help service businesses with their marketing, where we come in, help them install the systems so they can run their systems on their own. Because in today's world of AI and everything else, online, business owners can literally run all of that on their own.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so true. It's vast. Okay. I mean, it covers so much. It's an ambiguous term, right? Marketing. If you do marketing, man, we could spend 3 shows just talking about the different kinds of marketing.
But yeah.
What I love, Alex, is that you're saying you come in to get this set up, because I know as a business owner for 30 plus years now, I know about it, but I couldn't do it. Right? I couldn't. And now we have, like you said, AI, all these other tools that make things a lot easier from copywriting and everything else. But it's still setting it up, getting it done. What is the system? What's the process? So let's start by talking about that a little bit, because let's talk about this. Like, where do people, what I always saw, where I started to fail was, well, first is consistency in marketing, right? And as a business owner, you're probably going to fail in being a consistent marketer, right? So let's kind of start there. Right. And it's normal, right? Because it is tedious, so let's talk a little bit about, like, when you're installing these systems and processes, what does that kind of look like now for the business owner?
Yeah, so right in the beginning, when we, let's say, start working with any client, first of all, we look at what type of business they run, of course, and what are the goals. Then now, based on the goals, now we know what kind of process or what kind of platforms we would need in order to achieve those goals. Because let's say if it's someone who is working with, B2, in their case, it would most of the times it would be Facebook and Instagram that they would use as two platforms, or Meta in general, as a platform to drive traffic, right? Then on the back end, what do they need to have? They do need to have a CRM. They do need to have an email marketing platform, some kind of a platform. They would need to have some kind of automation on the back end, the pipeline. So like all those little things. And a lot of times when we start working with a client, like one of the questions that we ask is, what kind of CRM do you use? And what we hear a lot of times is, I use Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. And sometimes people tell us, what's a CRM? And they've been in business for, well, quite a while, like 5-10 years. I mean, if it worked for them and they were growing the business somehow, now imagine when you start implementing all the different systems. And the beautiful part about, when I say systems, I'm referring to, again, CRM, emails, the calendar. And the beautiful part about it is you set it up once and it works for you pretty much 24/7. So you don't need to do it. You don't need to do all this mundane work. And the way we look at it is, you need to systemize anything that, let's say, if you're doing something for 3 times or more, you definitely need to systemize that.
Right. I'm with you there. We're big fans of systemization, right? That's, to me, especially at Sharpen the Spear, there's freedom in systemization. Okay. And that's how you begin to get away from the day-to-days. And that's why I like what you do as far as the marketing aspect, because it's a very unique approach to what you're doing. Because a lot of people want, and I'm using the big quote of marketers, they want a level of control, right? Because they want to create dependency. Okay? So it can be good and that can be bad, right? Like, I have people who work for me, I hire out and I need them. Okay? It's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. So I need them and I get it, right? I mean, they're a contractor for me. But when you're able to build a system inside your own business that's operational, right? And I know it's never, there's always maintenance, there's always upgrades, there's always content maybe to build and do things like that. But the key is that it's yours and you're able to work with that or delegate someone to do that. Because the ideal thing is getting someone in there. So that approach to me is very wise, very efficient, because whenever I talk to a business owner and you ask them if they want their business systemized, you're going to get 100% yes. And you say, well, when do you want to start? And they go, well, I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. So and there's your first roadblock, right? Well, I don't have time for that. I'm already wearing 9 hats. Now you want me to systemize everything? So I love just the ability for you to do this. So going down, let's go a little deeper on this too. So when you're working with people, let's talk about your outcome as a business, okay? As a marketing business, setting them up. And I'm sure it's not like you go, here's your system and I'll see you in 10 years, right? I mean, you're a business, right? You're not always looking for the new clients. You're going to have some maintenance and things like that, or whatever you're going to do with it. So what does that kind of look like? And what do, kind of piggyback on that, what are some of the expectations of clients? Say you did this for me. Okay, came in and did this for me. What are some of the expectations I should have as a client working with you?
So first things first is, you would have, I would say, a 70% automated system of lead generation and client acquisition. The only thing that you need to do on the front end in terms of business development is either you need to create content or you need to run ads, or you could do both, which is ideal. And that's what we like to do. We like to call it hybrid marketing, because these days, if you just run ads, that's fine. But running ads these days is getting more expensive, because people have less trust in what they see online, or in general, they have less trust in today's world. And when you create content, that builds the credibility, the expertise, and the trust. And people can get, they get to see that you know what you're talking about, pretty much. In terms of the systems, when I said 70%, the reason why I say 70% because, and when I said that you can run everything on your own, it's not necessarily 100%, of course, on your own. It's the systems on the back end. So I'll go through everything that I'm referring to. So it would be, let's say, having a funnel, having email automations, the CRM, the text messages. If somebody books a call with you, if they reschedule, what happens then? When somebody joins the list, what happens there? Like usually we like to do an integration sequence, a 5-day of emails. So when somebody joins your list, they'll get an email a day for the next 5 days that would introduce you to that new person, to that new lead or prospect. So that way you get to build the relationships automatically. with that prospect, right? In terms of the system on the content side as well, you could create 1 month worth of content in, I would say, about 4 hours. Yeah, in 4 to 8 hours. If we take, let's say, you can take an entire day out of the month, prepare all the content in advance, pre-record it, and then edit it, chop it down into shorter videos. Whether let's say it's a podcast, I'm sure you're already using that, and I know that you do. But then you could also take, let's say, snippets of maybe the conversation and repurpose that into an Instagram carousel post, as well as a LinkedIn carousel post, or in LinkedIn, they call it a LinkedIn document. So you can upload it as a PDF file, and it's exactly the same content, but you just repurpose it differently. So it would take you about 4 hours of work to produce the content, and you could do it in an hour or two. Like, there are some companies that they claim that we only need 1 hour of your time, but you still need a bit more time. Like, I'm not gonna say that you can do it in 1 hour. That's a nice offer, that's a nice headline, but in reality, if we're real, if we're being honest, 4 hours is really enough. And then if you're doing it on your own, another 4 hours to edit the content. Or you could hire someone else who could edit this content for you. I don't know, go to Upwork and you can get that done in literally 2-3 days.
Sure. Yeah, that's really good. I think it's important that people understand. That's why I wanted to get into this a little bit, that there's never no work. Okay? It doesn't matter what, and you said it well, they can promise you an hour a month, but it's never going to happen. And they'll tell you all the reasons why it doesn't work after they've already sold you. It'll be all your fault. But the reality is there's some work involved, right? When we're talking content, who knows your content? Well, you're the business owner, right? You understand what this is. Doesn't mean you need to become a professional editor. You don't have to be splicing video and doing all this stuff. You can farm that stuff out, but there's also enough software now, even like what we're using here, that'll create these great clips for you in moments. And you just share this out, and for the specific platforms. So they're formatted for the best way that to be shown on the platform. So the one of the great things I like, Alex, is today, again, I was around pre-internet, all that kind of stuff, where advertising was incredibly expensive, very difficult to do, primarily print media. Yeah, you get some TV and radio and stuff like that. But what you can achieve now, it's such a low barrier to entry, right? To be able to do this stuff and get the software that basically does the work for you way better than you ever could. Like, you couldn't put in the hour. If I had to start today, okay, let's call it copywriting or video editing, either one. There's not enough time. I don't care if it's 10 years from now doing it every day, where I'm going to catch up to AI's ability to do it. You just can't.
No way. This is like when the short form content came out, I think it was like about 2 years ago or so. And all the AI tools that we have these days, some like, whether it's Riverside, whether it's Opus.Pro that chops down, like, you can take an entire video and chop it down into short clips. These days, it does it in, 15-20 minutes. In the beginning, I was like within the agency itself, that was one of the services we were offering, the short form content. And it would take us about 30 minutes to an hour to edit 1 minute video. Because somebody would have to sit down and add all let's say the captions, that thing could be created, yes, but then all the pauses, all the different effects, all those things, that does take time. But today with AI, as you mentioned, it's literally 15-20 minutes, and then you go in, you look at at the post-production of what AI did, and if you don't like something, you can maybe tweak certain things, cut it somewhere, maybe fix the word, and it's good to go.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I'm saying that from me, again, kind of almost called a dinosaur, right? Been around so long, but seeing this now because I know what it used to be like. A lot of the younger people, they're doing in the last 5 years, they're like, they have no patience, right? This stuff is so fast and they're still impatient. It's not fast enough. I'm like, I'd be waiting like a month to get this stuff back in the day. Like trying to shoot video, do a video commercial was $20,000.
Wow.
Back in the day, you know what I mean? It was $20,000 to do a 2-minute commercial, just on the video stuff. I mean, I was doing it, It was insane. I look at now, it's like your phone and this, and it's so amazing. I just like to remind them younger folk that it's just like you guys got everything. I mean, it's so, again, from a tool standpoint, software standpoint, AI, literally a thinking standpoint, a creation standpoint, there's no better time to be in business than right now. And it just keeps accelerating so quickly. It's learning so fast. It's really exciting. So that's why I love it seeing being applied in marketing. Because a lot of times for young people, startups especially, things were always very cost prohibitive. You lost out because you weren't capitalized properly, right? You didn't have the money to do this. So you were at a crawl to get going, or you're leveraging yourself to the hilt, right? Because you're trying to make this stuff happen. So when we lower that, you lower the barrier, you increase the quality, it's a win-win, right? And then that's why when you bring someone like you in, Alex, and you come in and you're able to establish this system, I just think that's a major advantage for companies.
Yeah, and this is, we realize that there are specific things that business owners are not necessarily implementing in their business, and those things within the system itself, let's say, and they could be easily fixed. And you just, again, you do it once and you let it work for you for years. Like there are certain couple of systems within our business. We've set them up 2.5 years ago. We're still using it. Like we haven't changed anything.
Yeah, I think like when you're talking about lead generation, okay, when people come into your funnel, okay, so for those that don't know, your funnel is basically, the big fat end on the top where you're dumping the stuff and you want them to come out the small end as the ideal client. But that system, people don't understand that. And I'm going to call it a campaign. The nurturing, they get the know, like, and trust, right? Building all that. And what people used to, which they didn't know that you could do before, was automate that process. It wasn't, I have to physically talk to them. I have to look them in the eye. I have to do this in the beginning. And that's what the funnel's for, right? You're going to sift and you're going to filter to get only the right people out. And when you can automate that whole process, the time savings alone is worth the price of admission, because you can't, you just don't have the manpower or the time to do that. You definitely don't want someone in-house doing that stuff, right? That's crazy. Talking and answering the phones and doing all this stuff. And today, again, people have become so accustomed to whether it's voicemail, text, right, autoresponders, they get it, right? So people, and this is interesting, now let's get your thoughts on this. People say things move so fast now, but I just thought of this, Alex. I'm like, well, things can move quickly, but I don't think it's moving so fast that people are missing stuff. It actually can move quickly to get them quicker to the know, like, and trust factor, right? Because you're not making those physical calls or visits or whatever. They're learning on their time. So it actually can stretch out a sales cycle, but it stretches out for the better, right? It's more important that they're getting all this information to truly know you by the time you actually start to go, okay, it's time for a presentation. Let's take our next steps where things might, go to a close or something like that, right?
Yeah, because in this case, this is actually a great point, because in this case, they get to build relationships with you without you necessarily doing much, because it is automated in one way or another. Like the best example that I could personally give, I'm sure you know Grant Cardone.
Of course.
Okay. So we see his content all over the place, even though actually recently I have not seen much from him, but anyway. So about 2 years ago, I was living in Phoenix with my wife, and they did their first event with their new company. It was a 2-day or 3-day business conference, another 10X GrowthCon, different business something. So I went there, got to see many people that are on his team that show up in his videos. I just got a chance to chat with them. And whenever I would talk to them, it felt like when I just approached them, started chatting, it felt like I knew them for at least 10 years. And that's what content is doing for your business. It builds that pretty much relationships and builds reciprocity too.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's leverage, man.
Yeah.
That's leveraging. If I can do videos and be myself and talk, whether it's podcasts or little informational snippets, stuff like that, they start to know you. Their repetition, They see you, they hear like Grant Cardone. I started following him 2013, 2012. Okay. The whole 10X thing, all that stuff. Like, I don't do it as much anymore, but he's the master of repurposing his content.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
He'll tell you, I'll do a little bit, but then you're going to get a whole bunch of other stuff you've already had. And then he's just, and maybe that's why he's creating new stuff, because he's repurposed so much he needs new stuff. So he's doing something different now. He's quiet, but he's not quiet. He's always out there. But it is amazing. Like you said, the connection you can make via automation. And that's just, hey, I'm still recording the videos. I'm still hosting podcasts. I'm doing this stuff. But now I can chop them up and use them everywhere. And I can be in a lot of places, all the places different people are at, and definitely I can target towards my ideal clients, and I can get it to them.
Yeah. And then one thing that you could actually do is, let's say with the video content in this case, let's say if you take a snippet of the podcast, right? Whether you go as a guest or on your own podcast, and you like the topic that you talked about, and that those are the things that your clients, your ideal clients, care about. So you could take those snippets and you can run them, post them. You can definitely post them on all the different social media platforms and reach as, I don't know, maybe the video will get 300, 400 views, maybe 3,000, which is okay. But what you could do also is take the short form content and run ads targeting your ideal audience. Because at this point, when you post organically, it doesn't necessarily mean that your ideal clients see them. Right. It could be anyone. Of course, all the different platforms, they try to cater to your ideal audience based on what you're talking about in the content. But when you specifically target your ideal clients through ads using this content, you get to build this, as you mentioned, the no like and trust factor way faster. And I don't know if you've heard of the 7-11-4 rule that Google created. Well, they didn't necessarily create the rule, but they did the study. They wanted to see how much time it takes a person to become a client, to go from not knowing anything about the company to becoming a client these days, whether it's offline or online. So on average, they say that it takes a person to consume 7 hours of content, have 11 touch points across 4 different channels. So now when you have that information, you can pretty much manufacture that and have as many touch points as possible with even the short form content. Like, you don't necessarily need to have long form.
Right. That's what I'm saying about the automation part of creating that 7 hours. Okay. You just said they need 7 hours of your content. Like, Are you going to put that time in? Then you start creating, you start, again, you pull in different things from different appearances or whatever it is, and you create that content, and it's evergreen. Right? Pretty much evergreen. You can put that out there. Now that's running, and now you understand your sales cycle too, which is another thing when I deal with a lot of clients, they don't really know their sales cycle. Well, when the first call comes in, when the first inquiry comes in, the first click, like, how long before you're making money? When does the first sale happen? What does that look like? What's the actual sales cycle? And on the other hand, I have other clients I work with, they can tell you, well, it's 21.3 days. They know they have their averages, because they sell so much, and that's amazing, right? Because now they can tailor. When you know what your sales cycle is, that's what you begin to like, okay, I understand my delivery of content and the nurturing process. What is the nurturing process of the client? Especially when we're dealing with, I'll give you an example of high-end. Okay, so I have a high-end, like custom vanities, kitchen house of builder, right? I mean, all custom stuff. It's a way longer, when someone's going to spend, and they go on e-commerce. So you go online, finally you want to buy, and it costs $5,000. It's not a click and buy. Okay, that's just it's rare. It's a whole, maybe ask questions, get some different sizes. There's a whole process, usually about 2.5 to 3 weeks in there on average, right? So understanding that, you got to build your campaigns to nurture that. And we've been able to condense that time because of the campaign. Because we automated the campaign now they're getting the information they need. We know what they've been asking for 10 years, right? Been in business 10 years. I'm like, well, everyone asks the same questions. So let's solve those without doing it ourselves, without you doing it via email and stuff like that. Let's get them this stuff. It's like overcoming an objection before you get it, right?
Yeah. I noticed there are usually like 5 to 10 main questions that most people have.
Right. So if you can address those, that's where you'll plug them into a system like you have, right? It's in there. Exactly. So it's doing, that's tedious work. And when you can automate that, like the burden it takes off you as an owner or even a salesperson is amazing, because we want to focus on closing the deal. We don't really want to focus on nurturing. Okay, we need to audit. I would do that even with my roofing business. My contracting business was, someone called today for an estimate. I wouldn't get out there for a minimum of 4 days because I have an email sequence that goes out. And it would just be simple appointment confirmations. Hey, here's our business license. Here's some content. Here's this. Here's testimonials. They get those 7, 8 touches before I'm knocking on the door. So it really gives an opportunity to at least know who's coming. Then I can confirm they had it. Everything else really made a difference. People are like, I want to get out there right away. I'm like, you can, but you're going so cold. Like you're selling a roof. And guess what? No one needs a roof today.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's time.
People they'll want to do research anyway.
Right.
For trying
so if I provide that to them, right, and you become the kind of the consumer advocate to a point, plus when they get there, here's what I do when I get there. I can close the deal. I can do the full estimate right on site, give them a price, give them a number, sign a contract, and walk away with a check. I don't have to leave and then come back. I'll send you the estimate, right? So that nurturing campaign gives me the time for the know, like, and trust, and then my ability to go in and close the deal. When I'm there, I've got all the tools I need to be walking away with a yes or a no, usually a yes. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. When these people start to get the process, when they understand the process, I think they can see even more value in what you offer, right? Because these tools are, man, and you start building a customer list too, and you've got 1,000, 1,500, 1,000 people in your camp. Oh my gosh, imagine making all those calls.
Oh yeah, I mean, even with a customer list, or like, let's say, like email list, there are so many companies that have an email list that does nothing. It's just sitting in that email marketing platform, and a lot of times they have thousands of emails.
Yeah, I had a client out west, and they've been in business over 40 years. So I said, well, do you reach out to your past customer? Oh, not really. Why not? I don't know. What are we going to do? I go, well, you clear like brush and stuff, like it grows back. So I go, how about we just create 1 or 2 emails? Because they're afraid they're going to email them too much. I said, well, let's do 1. Okay, well, I'm going to go real easy. Let's do 1. Let's reach out to them. Send 1 email. They made $45,000 in new business. 1 email. Because I'm like, see, can we do 1 a month? Is 1 a month going to be okay for? Or is that going to really make you feel like you're pestering someone? I said, you just made $45,000. Okay, by sending an email. It was free. Okay, so and they're like, oh, I like, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying, like, people have these lists and they don't understand the lifetime profitable value of a customer.
That's another thing. Like, a lot of business owners, they don't know the numbers. That's what's surprising to me. Like, they don't know how much does it cost them to acquire a client. Because the moment you know that number, you can spend as much as you want to acquire a client. Like, you're going to outspend your competition at that point. If you know that at the end of the day, you're profitable, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. That you want to sum it up. Most business owners, small business owners especially, don't know their numbers. If I ask them what's your gross profit, they know their revenue usually. The gross profit they may know, they don't really know the percentage. And then I say, well, what's your net profit? A real net? Like, they don't know that at all. Right. So I show them how to do it, but it's pretty shocking. I said, you've got so much room for improvement, from a profit standpoint, because they're not utilizing everything they have. So this is what we call the hidden profit, like this email list, a customer list. They haven't decided what's their customer worth over a 10 or 20 year period. Everyone's focused on the next new sale. If someone buys from you once, unless you really botch the whole thing, they're going to buy from you again and again and again. Right? So that's, again, with your system, this is what's beautiful about that stuff. Okay, we've nurtured them, brought them through, I closed the deal. Now they go into another campaign, right? Nurture the thank you, the follow-up, hey, new stuff, here's more testimonials, stay front of mind, all that cool stuff. Like, I would tell people, I do a roof for someone, okay, I made $15,000. But they have siding, they have windows, they have gutters. I go, over the next 10 years, they're worth $60,000 to $100,000 to me. Okay, well, wow, I have, 1,000 clients. That's a lot of money. And if I want to sell my business, the valuation is going to be based on lifetime profitable value. And if you're nurturing that and using it and showing that it does work and repeating this, it does amazing things when it comes time to sell your business, right, from a valuation standpoint. But if you don't have the systems, again, to make that work on a continuous automatic basis, you're never going to keep up with it. It's just way too difficult.
Yeah, even if somebody will try to do it manually, but it doesn't make any sense to do it manually anymore. When you have all those different tools.
I figured this out years ago. So I'm buying leads, roofing leads. I'm paying, at the time I was paying $2,100 a month. Okay, and I'm getting like 3 to 5 leads a day. Okay, I'm like, okay, so you call them and it goes right to voicemail. Even though I just got it that second to, like, however that works, I'm like, okay, but now I got to follow up. And you learn that just like you're the 7-Eleven and everything else, same thing on those. Nothing happens till the 4th call minimum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Usually it's 7, 8, 10, 12, and I'm the only goof who would make 10 or 12 or 15 calls, but I realized I started getting all the jobs because I hung in there. But then I started doing the math, like, wait a minute, I'm the owner. I'm going to be at like 3,000 calls a month I'm going to have to make because the next month goes. So I got to automate this. So I just did the virtual assistant. Okay, they do the follow-up calls. They do the appointment setting, everything else. I turned that $2,100 a month. I was closing like 100 and, what was my first month? 27,000 in New York for 2,100. Well, I'm going to rinse and repeat that. Okay, that was for me. So because we followed up, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're the only one I've heard from," and this is call number 9 or 12, right? But I'm like, okay, great. Well, I guess I got to work. I'll see you when we get there. But the whole thing I learned really quick that you can't do it manually. It's impossible, and that's why people tell you that paid leads are terrible. Because they don't want to do the work. They don't have a system to do the follow-up and the appointment setting. And if I'll confront them on it, they'll agree. That you don't make the calls. You just don't make the calls. You don't do the follow-up, and the follow-up's where it's all at.
Yeah, the
90% of all sales are done by the 10% who make more than 3 calls.
Yeah. I was looking at the stats. It wasn't really crazy. Like when we were running that as an agency, and we would set up this kind of systems, and that's what our clients would tell us. Like in the beginning, they would say, "Oh, those leads." Let's say we built out the entire system just for them. It wasn't like they were not buying leads. The leads were coming into their system for their offer, and then they'd call them once or twice, and then they say, "Oh, nobody picks up the phone. Like those are bad leads. Those are bad leads." So then we started tracking things. It's like, how many times did you call them? And then when we started looking at the numbers, it was like, you didn't even try to like get their business. Really think like you're the only spa or you're the only gym in the area.
Yeah.
So it's really about the follow-up. And we had only one client who I think he was doing 20 or 25 follow-up calls. And only after 25th, it was either 20th or 25th that he would remove them from the system. Well, not remove them, but he'd mark them as out of the pipeline.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to put in that time, but again, you have to automate that process. Even if that means getting your VA, getting a virtual assistant who's doing it, and you're paying them whatever your $6 are from the Philippines. They're dialing the phone. They're setting an appointment, right? You can build that system. They do it very easily, assign the salesman, do all that stuff, and that is their job. They're trained to do it. They're great at it. You're going to be great at it the first call or two. And then you're just going to be in misery. You're going to be living in misery, making the call, dialing for numbers here. It's just a horrible thing. And I'm so happy that technology has caught up to run this kind of system, right? To be able to do this but the owners have to grab onto this and understand this is where it's at. This is where that continuous follow-up is what it's all about. It's not too many emails. It's not too many phone. None of that matters because I don't have the exact saying, but basically, like, I can give you 25 reasons why they haven't called you back, and none of them have anything to do with you.
Yeah, honestly,
they have a life, right? They got this, and the kids got to go here, and this, and for me, it's a rough. They don't need it today. They need it, but they don't. They're not excited about dropping $15,000 on a roof. They literally only can see, And so it's that whole thing. You got to understand that, right? They're going to need it, but you have to begin to fill the pipeline and nurture and follow up and nurture. And then it's going to be amazing, because when the call does come in, you're getting the job, unless you're just a complete idiot on site. But normally you just go and it's a layup, because the competition has dropped off. They just stopped doing it. So it's a great way to win.
It is 100%. The fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah. I mean, just put that on the wall. Fortune's in the follow-up. We get it. Like that's, yes, we didn't make that up, but yes, that's exactly what it is. And, if you can just grasp that and then reach out to someone like you, Alex, which we're going to tell them how to do that in just a minute, but really understand, like, you want to systemize your business from lead gen, right? Coming in, not necessarily getting the leads. Like you just said, it's just what you do with them when you get them. And like you said, a lot of different sources. You can run ads, you can do searches. There's a ton of ways to generate leads. People have their favorites. I'm with you. I agree with multiple spokes on the lead gen, because if you put all your eggs in that one basket and you get, back in the day, the Google slap and this stuff, and all of a sudden you're out. Now it dries up. You have nothing. That's painful for a business. But they just really need to look at this and contact someone like you to build these systems out for them so they can manage all this stuff and really start to convert. I think when you start converting these sales, when you give it that time, it's amazing. You're like, man, what did I wait so long for? Right? I mean, it really is a thing where you start to realize, like, I've been kind of stupid. Like, I should have been doing this a long time ago, but it doesn't matter. Start now. All that stuff is all past, so it's pretty cool. So how do people get in touch with you?
Honestly, they can reach out on social media. It's at Alex Thoric, pretty much every platform, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. They can also visit our website. It's buildingincomeondemand.com, and see who we are, what we do, and look at the different resources that we have on the website.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I just highly recommend you guys check it out. Maybe get in a conversation with Alex and just look at what you're doing. If you don't have, and I want to say, an extensive follow-up system, you're leaving a ton of money. You're giving it to someone else. You're not leaving it. You're giving it away. Okay, you're not leaving anything. You're giving that money to the guy who's going to have the system, is going to do the follow-up. So, I mean, just that, again, low barrier to entry, get this stuff done, change your income-generating revenue, right? Let's do that. Let's get the systems. Let's work on this. This is, again, marketing, we said, is the big word, right? Big umbrella, but this is very specific. And that's why I love talking to Alex, because it's very targeted, it's very specific on what they can do. It's a tool. It's a fantastic tool with other things obviously attached to it. So I just want to encourage people to use it, because I just want people to win. I want them to win. You're in business. Like, let's make some money. Let's close some deals. Let's help people. Let's serve them like we're supposed to. So any final words on this stuff, Alex?
Any final words? I would say there's a quote that I like. Goes as, the river cuts through rock not because of its power, but because of its persistence. So sometimes when you do certain things, whether it's in marketing or business in general, things don't work out, or they don't work out the way that you want them to work. Just be persistent.
That's it. I love it. I mean, I'm very similar. I love it. You have to, consistency, persistency, you've got to keep both of those, because it's just, again and again, just like the calls, right? It's not 3 calls. It's 4, 7, 9, 12, 20. Okay, it works. So if you just keep going, it'll work. Just invest that time and understand what you're getting into. So that's awesome. Well, thanks again, Alex, for coming on. It's been awesome to have you on here. It's been very enlightening. I hope people pull a lot from it. All Alex's information will be in the show notes, so take a look at those and definitely reach out to Alex. And we will see you on the next Sharpen the Spear podcast. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed, just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.